Let me recognize my distinguished brothers and colleagues, the Oni of Ife, the Emir of Kano, Alara of Ilara, representative of the Olubadan, the former SGF Head of Service, Minister of Defense, Yahali Ahmed, the Vice Chancellor of this great university, distinguished graduates whom we're all here gathered for them, distinguished members of the academic community of this university, distinguished members of NASU and other bodies in the university, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all gathered here and those listening or watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me start this short address as the Chancellor of this great university by thanking Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this day, the 75th foundation day of this great university. After expressing our gratitude to Almighty Allah, the Most High, for witnessing this university's 75th anniversary, which is a great achievement by any measure, being the oldest, the premier, and the best university in this part of the world. This is a milestone not only for the university, but for the country's modern education development. While it deserves all the celebration, it also deserves all the reflection. Celebrations for the number of great men and women it has graduated and the impact that these men and women have had in shaping our public and private sectors as well as our societies. Reflections because all human endeavors require evaluations for improvement. It is by these evaluations that we can see what we have done right and need to sustain, and what we have done wrong that we need to correct. I admit this important assignment is not something that can be done within a short speech and require the academic prowess that only trained academics can marshal. All that some of us can do is to highlight the themes and throw up the issues for the constitution of the university teachers and administrators. Let me raise three of such things. Perhaps we should start with the issue of relevance of our universities. About 50 years ago, one of our renowned scholars, the Waziri of Sokoto, Waziri Junaid of blessed memory, a council member of the Sultanate, a very famous scholar, in his very famous speech at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where he was awarded honorary degree and spoke on behalf of other awardees, raised the issue of the relevance of our universities. He argued that knowledge doesn't develop in a vacuum. Rather, it always has a cultural context. And precisely because knowledge has a cultural context, our universities have to take cognizance of our culture and history, even as they share and relish in the University of Knowledge. In the words of the Waziri, and I quote him, all communities have an inner life, a spiritual dimension which makes them what they are. gives them autonomy and help them to rise beyond their present to greater achievements. I'm speaking here about the values which they have about their place in the world, about the correct relationship between men, about the proper ways to behave in conducting affairs of men, and of their own views about what constitutes their identity. Becoming more specific from the society that preceded the Sokoto Caliphate, the Waziri said, and I quote here, "The highly cultural society of Songhai was intensely concerned with the right order of relationship between the Department of State and the upholding of the rules governing trade and the conduct of the community of merchants. On the other hand, it was concerned with self-discipline, piety, and the love of learning, justice, and truth." Unquote. Being more specific on the Sankore University, the Waziri said, "The University of Sankore and the community which supported the scholars and students were tied very closely to each other. To the authorities, the university supplied generations of administrators, judges, and other functionaries of the state. To the wider community, it supplied teachers, men of religion, jurists, and a class of merchants, notaries, and clerics. But leadership was more than a crudely functional one. The university was the symbol of the spirit of the community, the guardian of its morals, and the formulator of the hopes and aspirations." What the Waziri was trying to say is that a fairly simple and important point that knowledge in our universities must relate to the community. It is located and must seek to serve the needs of that community, taking cognizance and engaging with its history and culture in a way it preserves its root in it and elevates it to the higher achievements commensurate to what the contemporary world standards are. That is the only way universities can have any meaning and positive impact on our societies. Any knowledge that seeks to undermine a people's culture can only subvert their self-esteem, stifle their growth, and change their future. China is a good example of a society where knowledge meets culture and history, and we can see the astonishing results. Japan, before it was another example. The recent rise of Turkey appears to be another example yet. Our story here in Nigeria would appear to be different. The issue of character and learning is another key area of concern. From the times of the Greeks to date, human society has been a witness to the age-old principle that knowledge without character is hardly useful. Often it turns out to be dangerous. It is the business of our universities not only to produce and impart knowledge, but also to impart character. This has been institutionalized and is repeated at every convocation ceremony like today, when degrees are awarded in character and learning. The sequencing of character before learning is deliberate. It is to underscore the great significance of character. Today, the experience on the ground does not suggest that we are doing a good job of responsibility across our great country, Nigeria. It's the absence of character that seems to define the behavior of our elites, and that is worrying. very worrying. It's time to reflect on ways in which the building of character can take a center stage in the business of the university. We must not make a mockery of our convocations. We must endeavor to deliver on our core responsibilities by ensuring that the degrees awarded are actually not only in learning but also in character. I can assure you that our country will be the better for it. The issue of how research and knowledge should inform policy speaks to a major role of modern universities. Universities are set up to undertake research and ensure that this research informs industry and policy so that there can be development and competitiveness. Most industries in the world provide huge resources for research and development of the products or services they provide, and too often they use the universities. This provides resources for universities and enhances its relevance to society. To appear that this link between our universities and industries, as well as government policies, are weak. For government institutions appear to be decaying, while the knowledge for our improvement and renewal is constantly produced and taught in the universities. I would like to believe that my concern is everybody's knowledge. Just 50 years ago, the civil service was very, very efficient. So are the public services and utilities provided by government. Many will recall how the few headmasters and teachers were on top of their jobs, etc. But today, with all the advancement and increase in innovation and technology, our institutions and our public services are clearly failing. What has gone wrong? How can we continue like this? What future for a society whose institutions are decaying instead of growing? I leave our learned community to reflect on this. But definitely we are not far from looking for answers if we ramp up our research. And talking of research, you need to have a lot of funding for research. We need to have a lot of funding for our universities. And that's why I was a bit confused when I heard the federal government wants to take 40% of internal direct revenue of universities to the federal coffers and continue to impoverish universities. How will the universities move forward without funding? And I think the future is here, and luckily he's the Minister of Education. This policy must be